believe that we are at a very crucial time, and this is not hard to see, but things shifted in 1967, and you need to get a hold of this fact if you're a believer, because you cannot any longer stay in the pagan sun god worshiping church. And what I mean by that is, I will do a whole series of teachings, but God allowed there to be an age of the Gentiles from when the Jews rejected Jesus. There were a number of Jews that rejected Jesus, obviously, and there were Jews that accepted Jesus. These were the first believers. They were the Jewish believers. There weren't any Gentiles in among them, except for maybe some of the ones that, like the centurion, I don't know. But they were first the Jewish believers. And God, in his wisdom, created a blindness over the non-Jewish believers' eyes for an age when he would rise up the Gentile church to save the Gentiles. Now, God never leaves anything undone, and he doesn't leave anything unjudged. It's a little scary to follow the Lord and really know him. And I fear him. I fear him above all other things. The only way you can really be in the spiritual world is to fear God and fear him only. Because I see in the spiritual world. I see what's going on. I don't want to see it. I've seen it since I was a little girl. I'm in a whole nother world. I see demons and I see angels and I see spiritual battle, and it's scary. It's all scary. But God is so terrifyingly righteous, and he's so perfect. And the only way we can have fellowship with him is through his Son. The way he set it out was to have fellowship through his Son, who was obedient and died on the cross for us. And when we're in that fellowship with him, in that temple, in his temple, we are walking in the light. And we have the light of the world. And we're walking in so much truth and knowledge. It's astounding. It's beautiful. It's glorious. And the world may not recognize us, but we can actually see what's going on. And then we're prepared. I was prepared for 9/11. I was one of the only prophets I know that knew that was going to happen. I'm prepared for what's going on with the wars and different things. There's always going to be wars, the Lord said, till the Antichrist comes and he takes that position, and that'll be like, a 3.5 year reign of peace. So we need to be in that intimate fellowship with the Lord. And we need to not be in any worldly system, whatever system that is. Now, when I talk about the sun god worshiping church, it's that when the church decided that they would adopt the calendar of the sun instead of the calendar that followed the harvest and the moons, which is the Hebrew calendar. And the Council of Nicaea in the year 325 established the church as Israel, like the church is now replaced Israel, and they made the Jewish people renounce the feasts of Israel. And this is a basic introduction to a lot of things I'll be teaching about. But the feasts of Israel, God said to celebrate, and he never said not to celebrate them. And they are the manifold wisdom of God. Because Jesus is our feast. He is our feast. And when you understand that, it makes so much sense. And it starts making Christmas, which was actually the day of a worship of one of the Roman gods. And Easter was the fertility goddess. And you can look these up online. There's tons of information. I'm not going to be the end-all information line because I'm not a Messianic Jewish person either. I mean, we're all going to screw it up. We just want to know, if we want to be intimate with the Lord and have fellowship with the Lord, we want to know who he is. And he came to Israel. And Israel is literal Israel. Am I pro-Israel? Not really. But God is pro-Israel. Do I think they do everything right? No. Does he think they do everything right? No. Is he anti everyone else? No. It's just that he chose Abraham, that lineage, to put his son through. And he chose Israel for a reason, as a symbol of his love for a people group that shows his love for us. As we are part of Israel, we're grafted into Israel. We are the Israel of God, the Gentiles. Now, I could be a Jew or a Gentile. I think I have a Jewish background. But I was raised as a Gentile. So to me, it doesn't really matter, except for I know I'm under the blessings of Israel. And as a Gentile, I'm not to be high-minded, but fear. Because God actually used the Gentile age not just to save the Gentiles, but it was a judgment for the Jews that didn't follow him, didn't believe in him. And God, in 1967, things have shifted. The age of the Gentiles is fulfilled. God said it's fulfilled, and there is nowhere to go in the Gentile church any longer. So I would counsel you to understand the times, understand the Lord, and get your roots back. Because when the Gentiles broke off from the Jewish roots of the faith, they became an unstable tree. Ooh, it's unstable, and pretty soon it's going to fall over. And if it's not bearing fruit, John the Baptist will be axed off at the roots. Well, we have a glorious, glorious Lord and a glorious faith, and by having the separation that happened from the Jewish roots in 325, but there were things leading up to that. There were events leading up to that. It wasn't just that. It was just at that council was so evil that they established the church on earth as the authority, and even Jesus and the apostles would have been asked to leave at that council. And so we got ripped off. We got really ripped off as Gentile believers growing up in Gentile church. And right now, there's nowhere to go in that unless you understand what's happening with Israel and you understand what's happening with the sons of Ishmael. Keep your eyes on the Middle East and what's happening there, because it is a sign of the times. God is still the God of Israel. And he says he will be covenanted with them until you can measure the universe, which no scientist has been able to measure yet. So the times are very crucial. We're in the time where they say peace, peace, and sudden destruction comes upon them. We don't want to give each other a false sense of comfort. Oh, it's going to be okay. Tomorrow's going to be okay. It might not be okay. You need to get close to the Lord, because with the Lord, you're okay with the Lord. Because if you lose your body, if you lose your house, if you lose anything, you are already in fellowship with the Lord. And I'd rather be with the Lord than anywhere else.